Hello, welcome to my newsletter for the 6th of July. I'm out in the garden on the patio enjoying the sun that's just this minute come out. It was raining earlier. So right, let me update you with what's been going on this week and what's coming. So the headline for this newsletter is events are back at the studio. Now, if you're not local to Stockport or not somebody who's likely to come to the events at the studio, then don't switch off, because there's still plenty of things in here which will be of interest to you. I'm going to talk a little bit about the remote training that's coming up, and as I normally do with these newsletters, I'm just going to talk about some photography techniques at the end. So do watch all the way through, and hopefully you'll find it interesting anyway, with everything that we've got on here. So what are the contents of the newsletter? Well, events. I'm going to talk about that first, a bit of background behind it. I'm going to mention what's been going on YouTube this week for me. A little bit more information about the whole remote learning and what's coming up with that, and then I'll talk about well, it's a theatre photography technique, but I think it applies to other things as well. So let's get started. Events, they are back. Now, before I talk about the 3 events that I've got scheduled at the time of recording, I want to just give a little bit of background to why things have changed a little bit. So looking back, before the pandemic, the way I used to do events on a Friday night, typically, was that they were available for up to 7 photographers, and I'd price the event really working on an average of 5 to 6 photographers attending, and that's what I needed for it to be cost effective for me. But this led to a number of drawbacks. From a business point of view, if I didn't get at least 5 people to book for an event, I'd made very little money on it. And part of this is I do try to pay models what they're worth. And that means that if I haven't got sufficient income, the money goes to the model. I can't reduce their fee. And occasionally I'd come away from an event on a Friday night with maybe less than £30 for running an evening event, plus all the planning, all the promotion of it, and it just really wasn't cost effective to run the events that way, and my business just couldn't sustain it. Not only that, but there was also another factor. What did I do if I only got 3 photographers to book? Did I carry on? Did I cancel it? Well, the problem was, if I cancelled it, I'd get a reputation for cancelling, and I'd be letting 3 photographers down and a model, and I don't want to do that. But if I go ahead, then effectively I'm running the event and making no money for it. So it just wasn't something I could continue with that. And not only that, from an attendee's perspective, if I got 6 or 7, which is great for me, I've got the income there that I needed, then people would sometimes comment, oh, I don't get much time shooting, there's so many people here. And I felt I wasn't able to give people the one-to-one time that I wanted, so that I could give them the personalised tuition that if they needed it. And the whole thing, to be honest, was pretty stressful. And then we had COVID. Enter the pandemic. Once it was possible to run events again after lockdown, because I needed to offer social distancing on the events, I started running events for just 3 photographers, and I priced them accordingly on that. And what I discovered was the vast majority of the photographers attending preferred that format. They got much more time to be able to shoot. It was a more relaxed format. We had time to experiment. We had time to really work on the ideas that individual photographers had that just wasn't possible with a larger group. And from my perspective, it was a whole lot less stressful because the decision process was a lot easier. It was either 3 photographers or nothing. If I didn't get the 3 photographers, I didn't need to run the event. There wasn't ever a point where I was running an event at a loss. So now that we are, I won't say we're out of the pandemic, we're clearly not. COVID cases are rising again. But now that I'm starting to run events regularly again, I've decided, because of the feedback from the vast majority of photographers who preferred that format, that that's the format I'm going to stick with. So it's a 3 photographers or nothing format. To sweeten the deal a little bit, well, I'm going to try and produce printed notes, lighting diagrams, things like that, that tie in with what we're aiming to shoot. So most of the time that'll be lighting diagrams. So I've got 3 events scheduled at the time of recording. The first one is the Essential Film Noir, and that is on Friday the 15th of July. The model for this event is Emma. I've worked with Emma before, great model. And at this event we're going to look at different ways of creating that sort of Hollywood glamour film noir. I think 1940s, 1950s black and white movies, that type of look, the deep shadows, the effects of that. So that's there. I've already sold 1 place. I've had somebody else interested in the 2nd place, so if you are wanting to come to this one, then please book quickly before the 3 places get sold out. Link for it will be down below. The next one is a few weeks later, about 3 weeks later I think, and I'm going to do my Essential Art Nude event. I've got a model lined up for this event. I can't tell you who it is at this point. She's got to shift a couple of things around in her calendar before she can do it. But great model, and really looking forward to working with her, assuming all the dates work out for her. The event's the 5th of August, Friday again in the evening, and we'll look through various techniques for art nude, particularly, again, I like the really deep shadow type look, so we'll do some of that. But what I want to do with this is also take on board the thoughts of the people who book, so I'm going to tailor it around the 3 photographers, so that should be quite an interesting event. The 3rd one that I've got scheduled is Friday the 19th of August, and I've called this Colour Matched Backgrounds. The model is Lynn, and Lynn I've worked with before, great model, very, very experienced. And this is something a little bit different. It's something I often talk about with photographers. If you get a model or a subject turn up at the studio wearing white, for example, what do you shoot them on? Well, inexperienced photographers will immediately go, oh, I'll shoot on black. Well, actually, you can create really stylish, stunning images by shooting white on white. If they're in black, shoot them on black. If they're in red, shoot on red. So that's the theme of the whole evening, colour matched backgrounds. And we're planning white on white, black on black, blue on blue, probably red on red, and then we've got lilac on, well, I haven't got a lilac background, lilac on grey, but using gels to colour match the background. So that should be a really interesting event. I'll provide the lighting diagrams for the attendees as well. Now the links to all these events are down below, including the link to where you can see all the other events that I might have planned after recording this. So it's all on my new website, which is www.makingphotos.co.uk. So go and check all that out. Right, moving on. This week on YouTube, just want to mention what's been on YouTube this week. If you didn't see it last Sunday, I had my latest main video, which was all about minimalism. Minimalist images I would describe as being characterized by their simplicity. It doesn't necessarily mean your subject is small in the frame. It can still fill the frame, but there is an inherent simplicity about it. And let me go through some of my images and try and explain what I mean by that. And it's gone down rather well. People seem to be enjoying it. So if you didn't catch it, there's a link somewhere up there for it. Go and take a look at it. Links also down below. Now, just want to say about these videos on a Sunday night, I premiere them at 7:30, and one of the reasons I do that is so that we can have a live chat going on, and it's really quite interesting to have that chat, talking with people as the video's playing, and some great Q&A comes out of that occasionally, and some great ideas. Last Sunday somebody was asking about photographers' websites, and that's set me thinking, and in a few weeks time I'm going to do a video all about those as my Sunday night video. So do come and join us at 7:30 on a Sunday night. This coming Sunday's video, if all goes to plan, it will be my feedback video that I talked about last time. I've now got sufficient images. I just need to get to the studio and record it all and edit it. So that will be 7:30 on Sunday night. Come and join us in the live chat. And I'm just going to paint it to look like it's an edge along there. Now I need to do something else with this section here, and I'll just speed this up on the video just so that you can see it, rather than spending all that time with me just painting stuff in. But you're getting the idea that this sort of thing is possible, but it just takes time to actually achieve what we want with it. You just have to keep going, sampling where you can and just painting in those colours. So now I zoom out. I think that's a pretty reasonable job of getting rid of the wheelie bin with it. So let's head back to Lightroom. So if you want to see the before and after, with the bin, without. Remote learning, I just want to talk about that. I've got a plan for September. The plan is I want to do my first remote learning training course. And the course I'm going to do is my Introduction to Digital Photography. It's an 8-week course. I've done it in the past in the studio face-to-face. I now want to do it online to make it available to those of you who aren't local to me here in Stockport. I want to try and find out who's interested, because I need to just bounce a few thoughts off you. If you are all sort of in the UK time zone, I might do it one way. If I've got people who are sort of outside the UK and your time zones are different, I need to sort of really set it up in a different way. So I want to get some feedback from those who may be interested. So if you are interested, please drop me an email. The email address is on the screen now, and down again it's down in the link, and just let me know that you're interested. There's no compulsion, there's no so, oh well, you said you were interested, you've got to sign up now. None of that, no hard sell either. I just want to get a little bit of information, find out who might be interested and how I can tailor it so that it meets your needs. If you want to know the sort of things we cover on this introductory course, we talk about composition, talk about how lenses, that was a bee just hitting the camera. We talk about lenses and how that affects the images. We talk about exposure, how you calculate exposure, how things like aperture, shutter speed and ISO affect your images. We talk about camera modes, that's things like focusing modes, exposure modes, things like that. I'm really helping you get the best out of whatever camera you've got. We look at how to organize and how to edit your files, just a basic introduction to that. And then we move on to a what's next. Where do you go from here? Where you've done a basic course, what do you do next? Does it all stop there? Well, of course it doesn't. So talk about how you can progress with your photography from that point. So if you're interested, or you think this might possibly be something that's of interest to you, do drop me an email and we can have a chat about it, and I can get a bit of information off you, and we'll take it from there. Right, just to finish, let's just talk about what I've been photographing this week. Well, I've been photographing 2 theatre productions this week, one at Stockport Garrick, one at Chad's over in Cheadle-Hulme. And I've selected 2 images which have a common feature to them, and that is shallow depth of field. Let's look first of all at the image from Stockport Garrick's production of Pandemonium. The play Pandemonium is written by Faye Harrison and by the cast, and it tells the story of a group of school children, teenagers I suppose really, who are in lockdown because of COVID. And one of the scenes, the one that you can see in this image, is a point in the play when they're all in lockdown, but they're keeping in touch with each other over Zoom, over FaceTime, things like that. And this is where a group of 4 of them are playing games online. They're all isolated, each in their own homes, but they're still playing together, playing the game together. And I wanted to try and capture an idea of that isolation, and I did that with the shallow depth of field. I shot along the edge of the stage, focused on the first person, and allowed the remaining 3 people to go into a bokeh, a blurry effect in the background. Similar sort of idea with Chad's production of Separate Tables. Separate Tables is by Terence Rattigan, and it's basically 2 plays in one, but the 2 protagonists in both plays are played by the same actors. Well, the scene that you can see here is towards the end of the first play, the first half, where the 2 protagonists are in the dining room at their separate tables, and there is still this gulf between them. And I wanted to try and bring that out in the image by using the shallow depth of field to put one of the characters blurred in the background. As the scene progresses, they come closer together, and in fact by the end of it they're sharing a table. But at this point we've got that gap, and the shallow depth of field helps to emphasize that. I just need to make a final observation about these 2 images. They're both shot at f2.8, and to be honest, that's the normal setting I use for a lot of my theatre work. I want to shoot wide open, get as much light in there as possible. But there's more to just the aperture to create this depth of field. There is the focal length of the lens. I'm using a long lens, which will give me a shallower depth of field, but also the angle that I'm shooting from. I'm shooting where the actors are in line with each other, one behind the other, and not in the same focal plane. So I've chosen my position. I've moved around. Because it's a dress rehearsal, I have that ability to move around, and I have particularly chosen that angle. And actually, with both of them, I had to move quite a distance to get the angle just right for the shot to work, because I already had the idea up here. I knew what I wanted to create, and it was just about getting into that right position to create the shot. So I hope you found that helpful, whether you're a theatre photographer or not. So next week in the newsletter, I'm going to talk about the mentorship program, if all goes to plan. Should have done it this week, but it wasn't quite ready, and I really did need to get out information about these studio events, so to give people time to check their diaries and book for them. So until next week, on the screen we've got this week's video from Sunday night, all about minimalism, and a playlist of other videos you might find helpful. So thanks for watching, and until next time, keep making great photos. Bye for now.